Hey, what's up guys? I'm Axel. Welcome to Arete Reviews. Today's video I'm going to be reviewing a 1DD 4BA collaboration IEM actually called the Arete. It's by ZiiGaat. First time ever for me to hear anything by ZiiGaat. Like I heard about their Synco and Syncotress, but today I'm going to be reviewing their Arete. The Arete is a collaboration between ZiiGaat and a YouTube channel from a guy called Fresh Reviews. I will link his channel down below. He's a great guy, actually a very nice guy actually, and I think he did a lot of effort here, which I actually highly respect and I'm going to talk about. His channel is more about like a unique perspective on audio because he's focused on the gaming aspect and stuff like that, which is actually a fresh perspective on it, no pun intended. And it's like a different way of looking at things, which I really like. So this review is going to be like that. I'm going to show you what comes in the box quickly, a few seconds, and then I'm going to be talking about fit and comfort. I'll show you the nozzle with the diameter. And then I'm going to be talking like for a second about the frequency response graph, and then I will like talk about my experience with it. And I will say the gaming perspective, and I will talk about, most importantly for me, the music perspective, like what did I feel when I listened to it. And then in the end, like I will end it with a quick comparison segment to a lot of IEMs like Softears Volume, DynaQuattro 61T, Juzear Nova, DaVinci, and Elysian Pilgrim, because there is a big similarity in the graphs between them, and I want to mention that. So let's start. So this is the box. Let me move these IEMs like that. This is the box that comes with it. It's a very small box. It's a nice box. And this IEM here says it's a one dynamic driver. It's a 10mm biocellulose. And then you get 4 balanced armature drivers. Something interesting here is that the BA drivers here are Knowles branded, so if this is something you care about, you get it here. And if you look at the resistance, it says 22 ohms, and the impedance, it says 9 ohms. I searched online and I found that it is 9 ohms, so this is an IEM where the pairing is going to be really important. It's going to be source sensitive. I advise that you have something around 1 ohm output impedance. And maybe even better, something less than that, if you want to get an accurate response, because I saw some people online say the bass is not what they expected, but in my opinion, if you use something with around 1 ohm output impedance or even less, you're going to get an excellent response. This is the case it comes with. It's kind of like a circular case, squarish kind of case. First time for me to see that. It's a soft case. It's not hard. I kind of wish it was a bit hard, but it's kind of nice. It's pockettable. It's lightweight. You can fit that in your pocket, no problem at all. That's kind of nice. And then when you open it, this is the IEM, which I will get into in a second. And this is the cable I will mention. The accessories package is kind of like simple. And this is one of the things I will like mention. Like I wish there was like a better or more comprehensive accessories provided, like maybe like an adapter, a brush, a cleaning cloth, more ear tips. But I cannot hold it against this IEM because, to be completely honest, most other IEMs in the same price bracket provide like a similar experience. Just here, like the experience is kind of like more bare bones. Like you just get a pair of 3 sizes of a silicone ear tip. It's kind of generic, like other IEMs as well, and 1 pair of probably medium-sized comply foam. Again, nothing to complain about, just I wish there was more. And then we move on to the cable. It is a thin cable. I will start by that. Many people will prefer that. It's really nice. It's okay. Like I will describe this cable as okay. It never tangled with me. And I will tell you what I don't like about it is this cinch slider. It's kind of loose. It falls in. It gets in and out. And you can see it doesn't stay into place. Usually when you put it on the desk, it keeps like falling. So it doesn't hold the cable steady that much. Other than that, the cable is fine. Like I will really describe it as that. It never tangled for me. That's how I would describe it. It has slight memory. Like if you leave it on the desk, you will feel that the cable takes on a shape and maintains that. But like if I wear it and I use it, it's comfortable. No microphonics, at least for me, and it's okay. Like I would describe the cable as okay. I wish there was a better cable, but that's another story. It's fine. You can see I put it on the desk. It stays fine. no problem. Linsol sells a very nice cable, which I highly recommend. It's called the Trip Owen Zoni. Like, I have 3 or 4. I bought them off Amazon. They are really great cables. I highly recommend them. They come in like 2.4, 2.5, 4.4, whatever you like. And it's like, costs like 15, 20 bucks. They go on sale a lot. And if you're a gamer, of course, you're going to maybe get like a mic cable or something like that. But anyway, the provided cable works and it's fine. Due to the output impedance, I advise you get the single-ended version. And this is where we move on to the earpiece themselves. You guys tell me what you think. I think they look awesome. I think they look spectacular. They look really gorgeous. I really love the design. And I love, like, for me, I saw some people online, they have like a more grayish version. For me, the background of the earshell itself is very, very, very smooth, very shiny. It's like dark grayish background or maybe even black. And it has these very beautiful, like, pinkish colored stuff. Like, it has even like some sparkle, like it goes from green to blue to purple. Anyway, I love my set. I think it looks wonderful, like really, really awesome. And the more you move it, the more it's going to look even more beautiful. Wow. Anyway, the fit itself, let's talk about the ergonomics, fit and comfort for a second. You can hold this IM. It has a very ergonomic shape. Let's talk about this side, for example, the right side. You got like the finger rests here, this finger is here, and it's kind of like very comfortable in the hand. And in the ears, it's even more comfortable. It's very ergonomic, and once you put it in your ear, I will post the measurements of the nozzle right there. You never feel it, like you never feel it at all. And this is just something I wanted to mention because from a gaming perspective and a music perspective, I think comfort is very important. And another thing which I found with this IM, now I will begin the review of the sound, is the isolation is much more than other IMs. It's not like something like all BA IMs or 61T or stuff like that. I think these IMs isolate more, but it's impressive. The moment you put these on, other than the comfort, you notice that the background noises start to take a hit and you can't hear them very much. It has excellent isolation, and that helps actually with the sense of immersion in the music, and I'm probably like guessing it will be great for gaming. Now, let's talk about the sound. Enough all of that. I will start by talking about the bass, and let's start about talking about the... Let me first, before I talk about the bass, I will mention quickly the sound signature. The sound signature here, I would describe it like as a version of neutral. That's how I would describe it. I would say it's a balanced sound signature. That's how I feel I could describe it. It's a really balanced sound signature, meaning that you listen to it and nothing really jumps at you when you listen. Like you can never listen to the Arete and you can say, oh, like the bass is so strong, or like, oh, the mid-range is like so forward, or the treble is like so detailed. Like nothing is like that. It's a very balanced set, and I could say even it has a version of neutral to it. Like the tuning is a version of neutral where you hear everything clearly, everything is balanced in the right amount, and it's a really good set in that way. If I could describe a word about the sound, I would describe it as controlled, and that's a good thing. And I will describe what I mean by controlled when I talk about the bass, mid-bass, and treble. Let's start with the bass. Let's start with the sub-bass. I think the sub-bass response is focused here. Like it has a sub-bass boost in the bass, and I think the sub-bass is the better part in the bass of this IM. The sub-bass has a good rumble. It has a cleanliness. It has a sense of detail that is really good. Like you listen to like anything that has a good bass and good sub-bass, and the sub-bass grabs your attention more. Like there's a focus on the sub-bass. It has a good rumble. It goes down low, like it reaches 20 hertz according to my tests, and you get that nice, clean, detailed rumble, which is awesome. Moving on to the mid-bass. The mid-bass, I would describe it with words like clean, detailed. If you look at the bass shelf here, it doesn't have that, tuck, the bass tuck that we see a lot. Rather, it's a very gentle and very detailed and clean bass glide that goes on, and it's very nice. It gives a sense, like when I hear it, I don't feel the bass is overwhelming. I don't feel the bass is like muddy or anything. Like, I feel it's clean, it's detailed, it's not in your face. This is something I want to emphasize. So this is not a set for bass heads. I love a lot of bass. Like, I call myself a bass lover, which means bass is important to me, but I don't want a lot of bass. Here, I think the bass makes me feel it's neutral. Like, you get a good amount, a balanced amount, a neutral amount. You get the correct presentation, and it doesn't overwhelm anything. It's not in your face. It's not one of those bass responses that are visceral and meaty and thick and powerful and lingering and stuff like that. No, more like you feel that the bass is snappy, the bass is fast, the bass is clear, it's clean. If you use something with high output impedance, it will change the presentation of the bass. That's why I recommend 1 ohm output impedance or less. When I'm talking about my set, it is very clean, to be honest, very clean. But again, it doesn't have that oomph behind it. And if you go to Fresh Reviews channel, great guy, by the way, you will find that he explains his reasoning behind this kind of tuning. And I think he did a great job explaining it, because I get everything he said I experienced with my set, because he wanted to go for a tuning that separates the bass from the mid-range. And like, for example, during games like Apex Legends or Call of Duty or whatever, you don't want that, like if there's like an explosion or something, you don't want that feeling to linger and hide where your opponent is. Like, I think this IEM is tuned in a way to give you a competitive edge during like PC gaming and stuff like that, and I think it does that well, and I will explain why. But what I want to say is that the bass is very light, not in a light in a response, but very fast. It has an impact, but it's not the bass that's going to be visceral or not going to be in your face, and it's not going to be like leaving an impact behind that is heavy or anything like that. Like, think about the words fast, clear, accurate, detailed. These are the words I would describe the bass. Moving on, the transition from the mid bass to the lower mid range is a very smooth transition, very clean, very clear. And you can see even the graph, like the bass like starts to become flat at 200 hertz, and I think this was intentional to give you that sense of clarity. This is one of those IEMs where I get a very clear separation between the bass and the mids. And to be completely honest, even you can even feel that they are different drivers. Like, they are so separated, and in a good way, actually. There's a very big separation between them. And what this does is that it gives the mid-range a highlighted sense of clarity, a highlighted sense of separation, so that no matter what's going on with the bass, it will never ever affect what's going on in the mid-range. The sub-bass boost also kind of helps with that. The mid-range itself, I would describe it as clear, as clean, zero shoutiness, zero harshness, no matter what you do. Like, I did my tests here, and if you follow my channel, you know, like, this shoutiness is one of those things where I cannot tolerate at all. And I'm happy to say I did my tests, I did my homework, and I'm sure Fresh Reviews did his homework, because this IEM is never, ever, no matter what I listen to, shouty, sibilant, harsh, never, none of these things here exist. And this is how you can see that someone tuned an IEM, and you can feel that they listen to it, because even I listen to harsh genres of music, or I listen to metal, or I listen to tracks that I test for sibilance, and not once did I find it harsh or shouty or energetic even. But I will describe the mid-range as interesting because some instruments are more highlighted. Here is when I'm talking about the music perspective part. For the gaming aspect, it's perfect. You kind of like, and I tried Call of Duty, I tried Apex Legends. Those are the two games I know, and I tried to play to see. And I will tell you what this IEM later does perfectly, better than any IEM I tried. But in the mid-range, you kind of hear things that are interesting. You kind of hear with excellent clarity and separation things like footsteps, things like reloads, vocals, even breathing. You know, you kind of hear that in the game. Whooshing sounds, stuff like that is superb over here. But when I talk about the music aspect, I find that some instruments have some parts of it overemphasized. Emphasized doesn't mean energetic or anything, just highlighted more. What I mean by that is things like string instruments. If you talk about acoustic guitars, you kind of hear the strings are more emphasized. in the music, in the mix, more than the vocals. You kind of hear the flutes are more pronounced. You kind of hear saxophones, bongos, tambourines, snare drums. These things I think have, like even bass guitars and like acoustic guitars, they have their bite, which is kind of emphasized more than the music itself, more than the sound of the vocals and stuff like that. That's interesting. Another thing is male vocals do not sound thin. They retain their natural sense of thickness without being warm at all. Yet at the same time, it's balanced, like I said at the beginning of this video, because it avoids sounding cold. But what I noticed is that female vocals are again more highlighted. If you listen to music like that, they are more emphasized, more clean, more detailed. You kind of perceive that more when you listen to it. That's my description of the mid-range. There's good amount of detail in it, and if I'm being honest, it's my favorite part of this set. I think it's done well. I love the fine line between shoutiness and between still sounding forward enough that I perceive all the details I need without being shouty. I love that aspect, and I love that kind of tuning. Moving on to the treble, I will be honest here, I kind of wish it had more air, like this IEM. I kind of feel the treble needed a bit more extension, but it's much better than IEMs that are in the same price range. So I'm not going to say the treble is dark. It's not dark. It's actually like it has a lot of extension in the upper treble. I just wish the lower treble or the mid treble had a bit more extension, had a bit more air, just to give it that, you know, that more treble detail. What is there is enough. What is there is good. But again, some instruments are going to be highlighted here. For example, simple crashes. I noticed that you hear them with more clarity than other instruments that have like treble harmonics. Another thing is, for example, hi-hats. You kind of perceive them with more clarity than usual. Never harsh or like sibilant or anything like that. Just you feel that they sound more emphasized. And this, I think, plays a big part in the gaming perspective as well, where you're going to hear a lot of stuff like gunshots and reloads and stuff like that with perfect clarity. This is the highlighting aspect I'm talking about. But anyway, what is there is very nice. But if it had more treble detail, I think it would be even more perfect. Now, let's talk about something like... First, I will talk about the detail, and then I will talk about the soundstage and imaging. And these are the best things about this IEM. But I will start with the detail retrieval. I'm going to be like flat out honest here. I will say it's not the strongest suit of this IEM. If I had to describe the level of detail of this IEM, and there's a big difference between detail and separation, layering, and imaging, and I'm going to describe that. But in terms of technical detail, macro and micro detail, like what I'm perceiving with my ears, I think I would describe it as average. I would describe it as enough. It's more than adequate. Like, I don't find myself seeking detail when I listen for the music. Like, I feel my brain is relaxed. I'm perceiving a lot of detail. But the moment I put on IEMs that are around this price range, I kind of feel that they offer more detail retrieval. Now, detail retrieval is not everything, but I'm just telling you my experience when I compared it to other IEMs. I just expected more, and I found that other IEMs in this price range are more detailed than that. I would say the level of detail of the Arete is around an IEM like the Truth Ear Nova, which I have here and I will be comparing. It's around that level. This is a very good level. Like, you never see anyone say, oh, the Truth Ear Nova doesn't have enough detail. It has enough detail. I think even the Arete is slightly better in terms of overall detail. But just when I put some other IEMs, I began to notice that some sounds are more clear, and the other IEMs have a lot more detail. Not a lot more, but more. More perceivable, more noticeable. Let's say that. Now, in terms of separation, this IEM does well in separation. And in terms of soundstage, and I will talk about the imaging because it's the best thing about this IEM, but I will mention the soundstage. I think the soundstage is wide enough. It's not an overly wide IEM, and it's not like intimate or claustrophobic or anything like that. I think that the response is accurate. The soundstage is wide enough. And not only is it wide, but there is an excellent sense of height that you get with this IEM. The depth is okay. And this is I wish it just had more depth. If it had more depth, it would, the soundstage would be holographic or in 3D, and it will be awesome. But it has good, accurate sense of width, and it has slight amount of depth, but the height is insane. And that sense of height is really important in games, and you notice it immediately in games. And I will even say I noticed it a lot in movies, but for music, most of the time I didn't get to take an advantage of that a lot. So this is what makes this IEM kind of special. This is the gaming perspective I talked about. This is the music perspective. For music perspective, it didn't matter to me a lot. Depth is more important. Width is more important. So here we have the width and the height and a slight amount of depth, which is more than enough, to be honest. And it creates a sense of space, no matter what you're listening to on this IEM, gaming, movies, music, any type of genre of music, there's always this present sense of space around things. Again, it's not the widest, but it's consistent and it's always there. You feel things are floating around in a space around you, and they're floating even accurately. I think the soundstage here is done in a way to benefit gaming as well, because if you think about it, if you ever tried the Sennheiser HD800S, and if you ever tried gaming with it, it's not a good thing for gaming. It's impressive at first. The soundstage impresses you a lot, but then you begin to notice that sounds are kind of getting floating in that space. Things are harder to pinpoint, and you have to kind of focus and perceive the distance of where things are going on. Here, I think everything is more accurate. I would describe it as accurate. The soundstage is there. It gives you always a sense of space around things. And now let's talk about the imaging, which is different than soundstage, which is different than technicalities and detail retrieval. And let me tell you, this is one of the best IEMs I've heard in terms of imaging. And man, whether it's drums, whether it's guitars, whether it's vocals, whether it's classical music, whether it's gaming, this is one of the best things about this IEM. No matter what you're doing, you can pinpoint things with perfect accuracy. And this is what makes this IEM, in my opinion, one of the things that make it super great for gaming and for music as well. But for gaming, this is where it gives you that competitive edge I was talking about. This is where it helps you localization of sounds, of the source of the sound, where it's coming from. And I have some test tracks, audiophile approved test tracks for imaging as well. And if there's a clock or there's a drum, and you can pinpoint things where they're coming from, literally, I'm not exaggerating, guys, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really something to experience. It's really awesome, and it does that much more than other IEMs, and maybe after the Pilgrim, it's the best here in that quality as well. So that's it. Let me go quickly and begin the sound comparison, just to highlight the difference for you guys and for you to understand what's going on. I will begin the comparison against, let's start with the Nova. I think the Nova is a bit thin sounding. I love the Nova. The Nova is very nice. It's a very nice IEM. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. But there it is. Again, a very nice IEM. I think the Nova is a bit thin sounding. It's a bit lean sounding. You kind of get the vocals, especially the male vocals, are a bit lean. Bass, when you compare it to the Arete, is much less. Imaging is less. Soundstage is less. The mid-range of the Nova is on the energetic edge, where depending on your music could be high, could be low, but it's not as smooth as the Arete. Detail retrieval between them, as I said, is kind of similar. The edge goes to the Arete. It has slightly better detail retrieval. I think the Arete wins in the bass. The bass is much, much better. I think it wins in the detail as well, in the soundstage, height and width. And I think it has the better treble response, better mid-range, better separation. You can feel it's a slightly more refined Nova, more polished Nova. It's an upgrade in that way. That's my opinion about the Nova. Let's talk about the Softears Volume. Another IM that I like. I will say the Volume doesn't have the same bass of the Arete. Like the Arete has the better bass, no question about it. It's clean, it's detailed, it walks the line between. It's good enough, but without sounding warm and without making the lower mid-range sound thin as well or cold, which is awesome. I think the bass of the Softears Volume is not like I would like it to be. I think the Arete here is better. And the Softears Volume also like has a mid-range that could be too energetic at times, not smooth like the Arete. The Arete wins again here. In terms of treble, like the Volume has like a different presentation, not like the Arete. And I think that the Arete just has more extension up top, at the upper treble at least. The Softears Volume is more detailed. Like, I have to be honest, it's more detailed, but it doesn't have the sense of imaging that the Arete has, and it doesn't have that sense of space, like, or soundstage around things. The most or the like best thing that was like apparent to me was that sense of imaging and bass. These are the biggest things. Now, moving on to the 61T, you'll notice a lot of similarities here. It depends on your preference. I think this depends on your preference. I love the 61T a lot, honestly. But it's not without mistakes or faults or like different sound signatures. Like if you look at the 61T, you will notice that it has a bit of a warm sound signature. There is a slight bass bleed, which makes the lower mid-range like has like some warmth, sounds thicker as well. If you look at the Arete, you will find the bass is much more detailed. Not the bass is detailed, I mean the transition is more detailed. But the 61T has, to my ears, I'm talking here from a music perspective, has a much better and higher bass quality, has that oomph, I'm talking about the boom, you know, around the bass, and it's much more resolving. That's just my opinion about it. It has much more detail retrieval and technicalities compared to the Arete. Moving on to the DynaQuattro. This is one of my favorite IMs right now. One of the things that will grab your attention is the bass. There is a big bass difference here. There is no difference, almost no difference on the curve, but there's a big bass difference in the sound. The DynaQuattro has that oomph I was talking about. It has that punchiness and it has that impact in your face. Like it's a slam. Like if you raise the volume, it's harder to drive, but if you raise the volume and you listen to bass heavy tracks, it has that sense that it's just powerful. It's the visceral type. It's the meaty type. Maintains the clarity, maintains the detail, but it has more texture as well. Overall, it's a higher quality of bass. That's my simple opinion about it. The vocals on the DynaQuattro are more forward to my preference. I think the DynaQuattro is much more detailed when I compare them and I listen to them side by side. I noticed immediately that the DynaQuattro has a lot more detail, and it made sense when I read online that some people say like the Arete is not that detailed. It is detailed, but when I listened to the DynaQuattro, I felt like, oh, I didn't hear that before in that song, and I didn't hear that before in that song. I hear them now. I didn't hear them here. When I went back, I noticed they were there, but they're not as clear, and they didn't jump out at me, like I said before. The one thing I feel the Arete does slightly better than the DynaQuattro is the treble response. I feel that the Arete has a better treble extension. Again, these things become like more apparent when I compare them side by side. I noticed that, oh yeah, the DynaQuattro doesn't have that treble extension that the Arete has. The Arete has more treble extension, which makes things, again, maybe have more space. Again, also, soundstage, the Arete is better than the DynaQuattro in the sense of soundstage. DynaQuattro doesn't have that wide soundstage that the Arete has. In terms of imaging, the Arete again wins here. But in terms of naturalness, in terms of timbre, In terms of bass quality, vocal forwardness, I think all these are going to DynaQuattro. It's just hard to beat the timbre of a 4 dynamic driver. But again, if you're looking for gaming or something like that, DynaQuattro is not going to give you the soundstage of the Arete. It's not going to give you the imaging clarity of the Arete, but it's going to give you better bass quality. It's harder to drive, and it's going to give you more vocal forwardness and more detail retrieval, a lot more actually. Moving on to the DaVinci, again, one of my favorite IEMs, which I really love. I can't comment on much on the DaVinci with gaming. Maybe, I don't know, like, will people like it for gaming or not? I'm not sure. I think the bass of the DaVinci helps with like things like footsteps, but it doesn't have the separation of the bass that the Arete has. The Arete wins in that department. Again, like the DaVinci, although it has a lot more bass and the bass lingers and satisfies every craving you have, I think, to be honest, I think it has more clarity and detail as well, the DaVinci, especially even in the mid-range. And it has a better timbre and tonality overall. But if you feel that the bass is too much for gaming specifically or stuff like that, although it's enjoyable, maybe it doesn't give you the clarity you need because the bass is powerful on the DaVinci. I think the Arete here will be another choice because the way the bass is tuned for the Arete has that separation between the low end and the mid-range. The separation is huge, as I said before, that you almost kind of feel that you can feel that they're different drivers. Like this is like totally separated and gives a sense of clarity. That's how I will describe it. Last IEM I will compare to is the excellent Elysian Pilgrim. I mentioned the Pilgrim because they have a very similar graph. A very, very similar graph. And if someone asks me like what is the difference, I will say the differences end with the graph. I kind of wished in my heart that I could say they're similar, but they're not at all. The moment you put the Pilgrim in your ear, it's just yes, yes, yes. I know why there's a difference in price. The first difference is the bass. The bass, I said, the bass of the Arete is not that textured. It has good detail for me, but it doesn't have the oomph. It doesn't have the texture that I'm talking about. It's still separated, but doesn't have the texture and doesn't have that bass quality that something like the Pilgrim has. The Pilgrim goes low, and man, you can hear details in the bass itself. Even if it has less bass or similar bass, I'm not sure, but you feel that you get the impact much more, even if it's less. You get a very clean, clear, separated impact. And it's just satisfying as well. I kind of wish the Pilgrim even had more, but it's satisfying so much, and it's awesome. Moving on to the mid-range and the treble, I will just say like that, like the Pilgrim is on another planet completely. In terms of naturalness, in terms of timbre, in terms of resolution, oh my gosh. A lot more detail on the Pilgrim. Like, it's not a joke, it's not a comparison. Even in the imaging as well, like, I think the Arete has excellent imaging for the price point, of course, but when it comes to something like the Pilgrim, you begin to notice the difference immediately. Maybe I think the Arete has a sense of height that I didn't get with the Pilgrim. There is a very good sense of soundstage height, but I think like there's no comparison other than that. I think the Pilgrim has a lot more detail, a lot more clarity, a lot more resolution, a lot more naturalness and timbre. Like, you feel violins. Like I talk about here, I said the acoustics have more of a bite to the strings and have things like that. So some sounds are not going to be 100% natural if you focus on it. And here, everything, if you guys had this, you will know, maybe many of you will comment even. It sounds very natural, sounds very cohesive, it sounds very real, like lifelike, you know. Everything is balanced enough and everything is natural enough, and with the resolution, you kind of feel like you're like end-game resolution right there. That's just my opinion about it. Of course, it's not a fair comparison. This doesn't cost the same, but I saw the graphs and I saw someone asking me, is there a difference? So I had to listen. And I kind of wished it was close, but the moment I put it in my ear, I have to be honest, no comparison at all. Like, this is something, like, so much difference that even if you own the Arete, I think you can own the Pilgrim and say, yes, it is a different sound completely. That's just my opinion. Anyway, how will I rate this IEM? That's how I will end this review. For me, for gaming, I will give this a 10 out of 10. For the price, I will give this, seriously, for gaming, 10 out of 10. If I could give it 11, I will give it. But for music, I think I will give it like 7 or 8. It goes very well, like 7 or 8. That means it's very good. It's very nice. For music, I kind of wish the bass had a different quality, a different texture. I wish it had like a stronger impact. Although it has a great sense of separation and soundstage and excellent imaging, but still I kind of wish it had much more detail than that, especially like comparing it to other IEMs in this price range. And I kind of wish that there was more like a better timbre in the mid-range at least, and at least more or better treble extension. What is there is excellent. What is there is more than enough. As I said, 7 or 8 out of 10. That's an excellent rating for me, a very good rating at least. And anyway, I'm so happy I reviewed this IEM. Good luck to Fresh Reviews, and let me know your guys' thoughts. If you have any questions about this IEM, you want any comparison, subscribe for more content. And until then, see you on the next one. Goodbye.